Okay, I'm back. As I said, I'm going to have to do this in different segments. My camera, after I snapped this back on, it turned off for some reason. So we're going to set this aside, have this closed up like this, and set it aside sitting down like that. Now, as I had showed you before, there's this lens or magnifier that's in behind the up here on top, and it sits on top of this spring. And again, you want to make sure when you put it back together, this curve is at the top, and you then put it back on there. And you'll want to clean this with alcohol or Windex, make sure it's clean. I found that drying it with paper towels is good, but then do a final wipe with something else, because paper towels tend to put like this little dust and linty stuff on things. So as a final cleaning, same with the mirror, you'll want to go in there first. I use a big soft acrylic art brush. These are soft. And you go like this. If you then want to use this to get the dust out. And also these sections in here. Sometimes they can be really dirty and dusty, so you want to get in there and get the dust out. And again, blow it out. And there's also these artist brushes. You can get into tighter areas. And if you must, put some alcohol on a Q-tip. Sometimes cameras can be really dirty, and you want to go around with alcohol and clean off all these edges. Like I said, some people, they don't store these very well. They work, but they're just filthy dirty on the inside. So then again, here we have the inside, and this is the shutter. Now with all this off, when you push the shutter release, whoops, I got to crank it forward, this film advance, and it brings everything over to this side. When I push it, it should stay open. This should stay open, but it's not doing that. I'm sorry, I'm mistaken. No, it shouldn't stay open. This is correct. But let's open up the back here, and you can see what's going on. On this one, it works sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. This is, again, my cadaver camera, and what happened was I glued it back in, and it seems to have stayed glued in, but this thing right here, it was coming out, even though everything clicked. When you advanced it, everything clicked. See, that shouldn't happen, that right there. The shutter is not working right, and the body of the camera looked really good. Well, that little piece up there is missing. So it sounded like it was working right. So the person I bought it from said it was working, and it had film in it, so I thought, oh, it's working. Well, I got in there, and it's not working. It clicks. Everything sounds like it's working, but it's not. And this post right here, it's like a pop rivet that goes down in, and this slide across it. You can see these two slide across it, and they have to be in sync to make the shutter open and close accurately. Also, there's, if you can see them, these little springs. You want to be careful of these springs. You don't want to be messing around to where you pop off. If they pop off, you can get them back on. They're attached here and here. I'm not sure about this one. But if these ends do pop off, you can carefully get it back over the post. And I think you can see it. There's like, you want this in the same position. This one goes all the way down to the bottom of the post. And this one looks like it's up at the, more at the top. But the way I found out that this thing was broken, that snapped off, is that I took these 3 screws out. That one, and that one. Opened up the back, and there's 2 other screws, there and there. And I would not, also you have to take this off, unscrew this, and this comes apart in 3 sections. This outer part, and then there's an inner core, and then this comes out. And if you can see how it works, I hope I can get it. See how I cocked it forward, and then when you snap a picture, that lever goes back up. Let me do it again. The lever goes back up. That back lever right there goes up and down depending on if the camera's cocked and ready to shoot or not. And so you have to take that into consideration. I'd recommend that you know, film advance so that that thing is down. And then after all those screws are out, these inside screws and these 3 screws, you can carefully lift this whole thing up and out. And you want to be careful, because underneath here are a bunch of electric, they're like 2 wires, and they attach to the shutter, and also to the flash, if you have a flash unit in there. I wouldn't mess with it. I mean, I did on one camera. I got in there, and I put it back together, and the shutter then wouldn't work at all. And on this one, I took it apart like that. That's how I found out this thing was snapped off underneath. And again, I glued it back in with super glue. And like I said, it just still doesn't operate. It sounds like it's operating, but it's not. So I'm using this one as a, like I said, a cadaver. I've tried to change out like this door on another camera that I have that's exactly the same. But you have to be careful. That's how this top thing snapped off, is because they look exactly the same, but for some reason, when I put it on another model, Argus 75, the exact same model, it didn't fit. And it wouldn't come up. It wouldn't come up and snap correctly. And then when I got it snapped on, see, even this one is giving me trouble. Anyway, in trying to open it, I pulled on this and it snapped off. And so you got to be careful. You can't assume that all parts, even though it might be the different year, they made the camera a little differently. So just don't assume everything's going to be interchangeable automatically because it's the exact same model. So I'm going to stop this segment and start on the next one. And that would be cleaning the inside here with Ronsonol.